Hello, 8 Fordham. Here's day one of our Corona lockdown, and I'm going over the first page in your student packet, Basics of Transformations. And so up here I've included a word bank that can be filled in down here, and I'm going to start reading that real quick. We got Basics of Transformations, Geometric Transformations. It says to transform a shape or figure means to blanket. In general, we can change the size, location, and direction that a figure is facing. So to transform means to blank. So think about when we transform something. Do we prime it? Do we pre-image it? Do we image it? Or do we change it? So you're going to want to go ahead and fill in the blank. The next sentence says, the shape or figure before the transformation is called the blank or original. We might label it A. So before we do something, what do we call that? So before a game, we have a pre-game. There's my hint, making it easy on you. Last, we have the shape or figure after the transformation is called the blank. So you could write the shape or figure after the transformation is called the. So if this one is the one before, this is going to be the one after. So these two kind of go together. Or the new figure we would call, then label it A, pronounced A prime. I'm going to go ahead and give you that one. So let's move on down. And if you need to pause this at any time or go back, feel free to do that. Down here, we got to fill in this section right here. So complete the following, which gives an overview of the types of transformation we'll cover in this unit. So we have 4 types of transformations we're covering in this unit. We have a translation, a dilation, a rotation, or a reflection. So we have this first image here with our smiley faces, right? So we got to go over some key words. And the one thing that's going on here is that think about a playground and what types of things are in the playground that would look something like that, kind of like a downward slope, right? So if I had to write a key word here to describe this type of transformation, I would say that it looks like a slide. And that's going to be my key word for this type of transformation, right? So when I'm sliding these, right, these are called a translation. On this one right here, we have something that looks like it's being flipped or like a mirror image. So when you look in the mirror and you hold up your right hand, it looks the same on both sides. So we're going to go ahead and fill in these keywords here called flip or mirror image. And I think that if I say mirror image, you should know that that is your reflection. On this third one here, we have a smiley face that is being turned. So when it is being turned, that's going to be our key word there, turn. And when we turn something, we are rotating it, kind of like we do when we're in our groups. We are rotating around the room. So you can go ahead and fill in rotation right here. And then last but not least, we have a dilation. And sometimes if you look at someone's eyes, their eye pupils, the little black spots in the middle of their eyes, in a lot of light they become smaller, in the dark they get big. So if it was a lot of light, your pupils might be small, and sometimes in the low light, in the dark, they become big. So if they are in very low amount of light, your eye pupils might be enlarged. Or if they were in very heavy light, your eye pupils might be reduced, meaning get smaller. So we have things that get smaller or they get larger, enlarged or reduced. Now they want us to label our image and pre-image. So if I'm going to be labeling these in my pre-image, they want the first one to the second one. So you can always tell which your pre-image, because it doesn't have this little accent mark. The little accent mark means that's your image. So that is what happened after your translation. And your pre-image is going to be your letter without that little accent mark, like an apostrophe. So for this one right here, my pre-image is going to be the letter without the apostrophe, and my image is going to be my letter with the apostrophe. So for this one right here, we're going to have our pre-image, which is the one without the apostrophe, and my image is the one with the apostrophe. And for down here, my pre-image is the one, again, without the apostrophe, and my image is the one with the apostrophe. So there you go. There's the bottom of your page. Again, we are going over 4 types of transformations, and they are translation, reflection, rotation, and dilation. A little review real quick. Recap. Translation is when the image slides to another part of your coordinate plane. It can slide all the way to another coordinate, or it can only slide a little bit. A reflection is when we reflect over an axis. So in this case, it is reflecting over the y-axis. The y-axis runs up and down. For rotation is when our image turns. So it just needs to rotate in any direction. In this case, it rotated from quadrant 2 to quadrant 3. We rotated it over the x-axis. And for dilation, we scaled it up, meaning it got smaller. This one got bigger to smaller. For the bottom of the page, you can say, where do you see transformations in the real world? So, you're going to need to fill in these blanks. Again, I asked you to be responsible for your own learning, so you might want to copy that question and paste it into Google to get some examples of where you see transformations in the real world. So you might want to say, where do you see translations in the real world? Or where do you see reflections? But some of you guys already have examples. For example, I gave you an example of dilations with your eye pupils, right? Scrolling down to the second page, I included your word bank up here. It's congruence and orientation. All right. So congruence refers to whether or not a figure has the same blank and blank after a transformation. Orientation of the blank refers to whether or not the figure is facing the same direction on the coordinate plane after a transformation. This third one down here, orientation of the blank refers to the order in which the vertices are labeled clockwise and counterclockwise. Here's your key word here. It's going to make it very obvious right here. All right, basically the same word here is going to go in the blank. So, down on the bottom, it says label the type of transformation shown. State whether the size and orientation changed or stayed the same. So, we want to know what kind of transformations these are, whether they're what kind of transformations these are, whether they're a translation, a rotation, dilation, or a reflection. So when they ask the size, you're going to write whether it's the same or it changed, right? So it's pretty easy to see if the sizes are the same or if it changed. So I would say that which one is different than the rest. This one looks a little different. So I believe that this one is going to have a different answer than the other 3. Now when it says the orientation of the figure, they want to know whether it changed or it stayed the same. So that means if it's in the same position as it was. So if it is in the same position as it was, for example, these on this side right here, on number 2, the orientation of these figures are the same. So I just gave you an answer. And the reason why they're the same is they are in the same position as before. Okay? As opposed to maybe this one or this one. Then when it says orientation of the vertices, all right, vertices are your little corners right here. All right, these are your vertices. So if your vertices stayed the same or if they changed, so it's the position of the vertices. So here's a good example. on number 2 here, A is in the same spot and A is in the same spot over here. So these vertices ended up staying the same. Kind of looks a lot like number 3. But look at number 1 and number 4. Your vertices don't look anything like number 2 and 3. So if they are not the same, you can say that they changed. All right, when you summarize today's lesson, just write maybe 1 or 2 sentences about something I said in here, whether it was about vertices, whether it was about the 4 types of transformations there are. You can list them, right? You can say something about orientation, right? I could ask Alexa, hey Alexa, what is orientation in math?
I have one definition for orientation in the context of mathematics. An orientation of a module over a ring R is an isomorphism from the highest non-zero exterior power of the module to R.
Way too complicated, Alexa. If I were to give it a simple definition, the orientation is whether something stays the same or whether it changed. So if the shape stayed the same, the orientation of the figure is the same. If the shape of the figure changed, meaning it's in a different position, then you're going to write the orientation of the figure changed. So if the orientation of the figure is different, then you're going to need to tell me whether it is the same or if it changed. All right, that is today's lesson. Don't forget to check Google Classroom for your attendance and for your mini quiz today, and complete your packet using the video, and I hope you all have a good day.